Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Expert Division in the Ghostly Glades tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go! So we are back here on the screen again and I'm going to play with a Thor Hammer level 5 and I'm going to play with 5 bars of backspin. You can play with more backspin if you want to as well. The only difference is that you need to play with more overpower. Here from this position we're going to play with overpower and we're going to add 20% extra to our adjustment. And for you that might not understand what I'm referring to there, is when I say extra, it means that we need to over adjust our shot with our adjustment. That is because we're playing downhill or maybe over open water, but in the end the term adding 20% or 10% or something extra is that we're playing downhill and the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. Then we can go with a slight amount of curl to the left if you want to. We don't have to, but it is possible to get very close to the pin with that particular shot. Have in mind that sometimes you're going to have more crosswind than you're going to have tailwind, and sometimes you're going to have a little bit more tailwind than you're going to have crosswind. And that is something that you need to have in mind when you're playing this hole, so you're not like overpowering it too much or using too little of overpower. Before you can see me putting in my shot, then do not forget to check down in the video description down below for a direct timestamp to the specific holes in this playthrough. Also check out patreon.com/golfclashtommy and you will be able to see packages like for training sessions, and also if you do want to get the text guides before the tournament starts, or like even sooner than that, check and sign up for that package as well. We put it in, we take an eagle, and we're gonna go and focus on hole number 2. Also, like Key Club, the reason I'm using a Thor's Hammer 5 is because of the backspin. The backspin is going to be very important for us on that particular hole, especially if we want to get that ball to stop on the green. Hole number 2, and it's time for us to go for the rough bump. And why do we play with the rough bump here? It's because that is the best way for us to get the hole in one. And we're going to play with a kingmaker, but I've been getting a lot of questions from players asking me, especially now when we had a wind 5 ball for sale in the game, and then people were asking, can't I use a ball with more wind resistance, Tommy, or I have to use a kingmaker? Of course you can. The lower wind, the easier it's going to get for you to adjust your shot for the rough bump. And so that is totally up to you if you want to spend a wind 5 ball for a playthrough. And also for me, when I'm playing it on stream in Expert, I never use anything else than kingmakers or berserker balls if I'm not absolutely need to. Otherwise I try to stay away from using those balls. So different type of adjustment here. I'm not going to play, what can I say, median numbers, max numbers, min numbers. So I'm going to play rough bump. We're going to play with 2.5 bar of topspin. It's going to be our adjustment. Now we're playing with only 2 bars of topspin. I would like you to have 2.5 bar, so we know that we're not going to go short. Here we're going to play 1-on-1 plus half a ring. So that means that if we do have 8.1 in wind, the first 1-on-1 means that we're just one ring per mile per hour. Then we're adding half a ring, so we should be adjusting 8.6 rings for this shot. Coming in perfectly here. And also 2 bars of topspin did get enough, but I've also noticed that sometimes when using 2 bars of topspin, coming a little bit short in the rough, and then we're going to get short to the pin. So there you do have the adjustment there. I do feel very comfortable that we will see a lot of drops with that rough bump approach. So hole number 3. And hole number 3, and now we're going to play ourselves over to the island and see if we can go for the albatross from distance. And first, we're going to add 10% to our adjustment. And again, as I said for hole number 1, we are adding, which means that we're playing either downhill or over open water or both. And that means that we are going to have the ball traveling longer time in the air, and therefore is going to be affected more by the wind. So we're adding 10%, giving ourselves, instead of 8.6 in wind, as our opponent's having now, but let's say we would be having 8.6 in wind, we would be adjusting this shot for being around 9.5 miles per hour instead. This shot may look very easy, but it's not. We need to play with as much side spin to the right as possible. I do suggest that you use 4 to 5 bars of topspin. You don't need more than that to just get it over to the other side. Now I do have an Apocalypse level 5, and that is because I do want to have a lot of curl. It's absolutely possible to play with an extra mile level 7, level 8. I would say with an extra mile level 6, then you need to be very, very spot on with your numbers there coming into the right, as the curl isn't that good with an extra mile level 6, but it will work. 5.5 rings here for 8.2, which is going to be between mid and max distance of my club. And then I go with a good amount of curl to the right. You could see there 4 bars top max side spin, and also 5 bars of top spin is going to be possible to get it over there. And from this position we're going to have a sniper. Our opponent's picking the Guardian, which is in my opinion the wrong club. So I do suggest the sniper going to be good, even if you have it in a lower level. Let's say level 6, level 7, level 8, level 9, level 10. So then the sniper is going to be the club for you there. So what else about the drive? Nothing special really. The one thing is that you should be using a ball with a lot of side spin, like a Kingmaker, like a Katana, short, tight and possible, especially if you do have a club that gives you a good amount of curl, like we did have now with the Apocalypse. So then it's going to be no problem whatsoever there. But I would highly suggest that we play with a Kingmaker or a Katana there. It doesn't really matter in terms of power which type of ball we're going to have for the second shot. We're still going to reach with a sniper anyway. So this adjustment here, I'm going to over adjust my shot here in this playthrough a little bit, and the thing that we're going to change is the following. First, we do put ourselves up with 4 to 5 bars of backspin, depends on what you want to play with. Here I do play with 4 bars, which is going to be okay, but 5 bars is possible to play with as well. We do want the ball guide to go in like through the hole, but then we want it to drag back, so we do have at least 1 square before the pin, before coming to the pin, because we need to adjust for the extended ball guideline that we're going to have with Tailwind. Now we are adjusting for 7.5 rings, which is going to be which is not going to be correct, as we are going to come in a little bit too much there to the top and not going to fall down. The importance here is to have the ball guideline straight at the pin, and then you adjust your numbers from where you are. So if you are in max distance of your club, then you adjust for max numbers, nothing to add for the elevation. And that's the same if you are in mid distance or min distance, then it doesn't really matter. So hole number 4, and hole number 4 is going to be a course that I will have to say that you're going to benefit big time if you do have an Apocalypse level 6, level 7, or you're going to have a Thor's Hammer level 6, level 7, or you're having a Big Topper level 7. Why do you benefit from that so much then? The reason for that is that then you can do a double bounce over towards, or like triple bounce over to the green. Otherwise we will have to play on the left side, because it's going to be too dangerous for us to approach the right side. You can see here with the top spin here from me that most of the times, if I'm not hitting my ball absolutely spot on perfect, the top spin is going to be too little there for us. So the thing that I'm going to do is that I'm not going to danger that. I'm going to lay up, and I'm going to want to go for a dunk with my Thorn. Max top spin, max side spin, having a red ring, just cutting the rough on the left. You can see plus 14 yards, and if you're having a club, like let's say the extra mile, you're not going to have this amount of distance. 5.9 rings, as we're going to be in max distance of our club, then we're going to adjust for max numbers. Some slight curl, but also some overpower, and that is something that we will have to be good with to play. We do have to play with overpower if we're not going to do a bounce on the first piece of fairway over to the fairway that we are now. So I would suggest that you play like that, and you can play like that with an extra mile, with a Thor Salmon, with an Apocalypse. It doesn't really matter. Just that you will have to play with overpower, so you get to bounce there on the island. If you do have a big topper that is fairly upgraded, I would say level 4 at least, then you can play with a top spin, go for a bounce on the first piece of fairway, bouncing over to the third piece where we are now. The only thing with that is if you do get kind of a dead bounce, as I would like to call it, when the ball is basically dying for the first bounce, getting a very low second bounce in the air, or like first bounce in the air, then that is going to cut the rough and you might have the trees in your way. So my suggestion is to go aggressively where you're not adding anything for elevation whatsoever, so we're just playing it as it is. So from this distance now, we're going to play with the dunk. As you can see here, I'm going to be in minimum distance of my club, and now the important part for us here is to hit the ball perfect. That is very important. So we're aiming up with the dunk, so we do have the blue arrows being in the back of the cup. That is important. 8.5 is going to give us sorry, it's itching. We're going to give us 2.5 rings in minimum distance of our club, and that is the thing that we're going to do. We hit it perfect, and we're getting it in nice and easy. Why do I play with the dunk? I've been getting several questions about that. The reason I go for the dunk is that the green is so bumpy that it's not reliable when it comes to going for the complete backspin approach, and you need to be a bit lucky with the bounce there. Then I go with the thorn, and you do go with max backspin of your club, so you can see on the replay here, so you can get the ball to stop on the fringe as worst, even if you miss the hole. And combined with the headwind, it's definitely going to make the ball stop before you hit the rough, so it's not going to be a danger for you there. Also, of course, if you do come in a situation where you have the thorn in medium distance of your club, then you play your thorn from medium distance of your club. That is very, very important to have in mind. So medium distance of your club, then you go with the thorn medium distance, max distance, thorn max distance. So that is not going to change. But in my opinion, the dunk is going to be the best and the consistent way. If you don't have the club for it to bounce on triple bounce on the island on the right, then that is going to be the best thing for us to go and get the eagle. Hole number 5. And now we're going to play with tailwind, and now I'm going to play with 4.5 bar of backspin and max side spin to the right. I'm going to have my club in max distance of my club, and I'm going to have the white ring, as you can see on the landing position, to just cutting the bunker on the right. And I'm playing with a power 3 ball, which in my opinion is for this setup here. If a power 2 ball is going to have a little bit less, then I would suggest that you take away half a bar of backspin. Now we do adjust our shot for being in a max distance with 20% extra. That is because this is traveling so much downhill, and as you can see, we did hit it great and we missed it big time on the right, but that is for 2 reasons. We do hit it great, but we also do curl it too much. You shouldn't go with any curl whatsoever and hit it perfect. That is like the thing that we need to do. So that is 2 minor mistakes. Sure, now we do have a putt, which is very easy for us to make a birdie. But if we do want to go for the hole-in-one, which we want, then we need to change that to the next time we play this hole. With this type of wind, in my opinion, this is definitely going to be a possible hole-in-one. And here is also where I've been getting a bunch of questions about the ball, like why am I using a kingmaker when I do have some win 5 balls, win 4 balls? Is because I don't want to spend any of those balls, as they are very valuable, and the kingmaker is going to be way enough for this particular hole. But of course you can use that if you want to. You can also use a ball with less wind resistance, which is let's say a navigator, or like a Titan, Katana. It doesn't matter in that way. But of course on par 3s, the more you reduce the wind, the easier it's going to get for you to get the hole-in-one. So, hole number 5. Now we're going to, sorry, hole number 6, of course, which is a par 5. Now we're going to add 10% to our adjustment. Max topspin, 2 bars of side spin to the left. And now I'm going to play my shot on the left side, going very aggressively. The reason for that is that I'm going to have straight tailwind towards the pin if I manage to make this drive in a good way. I'm playing 6.5 rings, which is with 10% extra. When I made my rings, then I do drag up my landing position into max distance of my club, slight amount of curl against the wind, and then I do go max overpower. And you can see here we're bouncing, coming in very, very nicely on the fairway. So, do I need to have an Apocalypse level 5 to do this shot? No. You can play with an Exomile level 6, level 7, level 8. You can play with Thor Salmon level 5, level 6, level 7. You can play with as well an Apocalypse level 4, level 5, level 3 as well if you want to. I would suggest if you do have an Exomile level 5 maybe, or you maybe have Thor Salmon level 3, then I would suggest that you in that way go with a power 4 ball or a power 5 ball, for an example a dead ball or a royal ball, or maybe a berserker if a power 5 ball, so you can reach over there. If you don't feel comfortable playing with overpower, then we play it the normal way, which is on the right side. And if you want to see that side in action, then check out the hole guide for this hole that is made before the tournament start. So now I'm actually going to play the rough bump, and I'm going to play my shot in minimum distance of my club with the Goliath level 8. But it's going to work the same in terms of topspin. 6 bars of topspin is going to be my topspin adjustment. And I'm going to want the ball guy light to go in the hole. So from this position, we are going to play minimum distance of our club with the Goliath. We're not going to add anything when it comes to elevation. We play 2.6 rings. And then we hit it perfect. And as you can see here, now we're bouncing the rough and we're rolling, and we're coming in almost. We took a 180 around the pin for an albatross. And of course, a straight tailwind, which we were looking for, or I was looking for with my drive, is definitely going to reward us some of the times, and sometimes we're going to be very close. So that is definitely going to be the approach that I'm going to choose, as I do believe that is going to be the easier time for us to make an albatross here in Expert. So, and of course, if you do have a club with which give us more topspin, let's say an Apocalypse level 6, Apocalypse level 7, Thor Salmon 6 or 7, then we could potentially have a Thorn going straight towards the pin with straight tailwind, and that is a lovely approach that I wish that I could have. But with Apocalypse level 5, that is not going to be possible. So, hole number 7, and hole number 7 is going to invite us to try to go for the green in 1, or at least put ourselves very close. I don't think that is going to be the play here, and I'm going to explain why. The reason why is that with this type of wind, we are going to have to play with a power 5 ball, and we are going to have to play in between the rough and the bunker, where the real skinny part is, if we're not want to almost max overpower our shot. And with the water so dangerously close there to the left, I'm not going to choose that way. I'm also not having a better club than Exomile level 7 here, and Exomile level 7 is not going to be enough in terms of topspin to get myself to the green. Then I do believe that the wedge is going to be almost equally hard as it's going to be to go with a short iron or a long iron towards the pin from the left side. I'm adjusting this one for 4.5 rings, and the reason I do over adjust this shot a little bit is because we're going to have to add 10% to this adjustment. So, and that is very important to have in mind. In the regular playthrough that I did before the tournament, I did say to you to not add anything, but with Tailwind, that this approach has changed a little bit for us when we are playing. So then I do suggest that you do add 10% to your adjustment, which means that we're playing downhill and the ball is going to be affected more by the wind, so an over adjustment. So our opponent is going directly at the pin. And we are going to do the very same, and that is going to be with the Saturn, or we're going to play with a Thorn, depending on how far we have been reaching with our drive. So you can see here we can go for a backspin approach, but look at the green here, everyone. Look how bumpy it is there to the left, where we actually do want to play. So if I'm going to play with the backspin approach, I need to go with a lot of backspin, of course, and also with side spin to the left. So then I do change my mind, and I'm going to play with the approach that I did on the regular playthrough, and also that I have been doing in regular tour play, which is using the fringe. Now we're almost running out of time, and 9.1 is going to be between mid and max distance, and adjusting it too little, and we're going to miss on the right side of the pin, or the left side from where we are standing. My suggestion here is that you play this shot in max distance of your club. Then you're going to be good if you're going to aim straight at the pin, because the thing that I do forget to do is that we're having straight crosswind. I'm not adjusting anything for the impact of the bounce that we're going to have. So now we do have 2 more holes to go, and we're going to go to hole number 8, which is going to be a decent approach for, or like not a decent approach, a decent chance to make an hole-in-one. And we will see many hole-in-ones here in Expert on this one as well, as this is going to be a tournament that invites for very low scores. So our opponent here is going to go on the left side. I don't agree with that at all, as it's going to do this hole so much harder than it actually is. Sure, getting it to bounce there, coming in there, but I do believe that playing on the island is going to be the absolute best way for us to gain an hole-in-one and a very easy birdie. So the adjustment here for me is going to be the following. We can see first on the ball guideline here, and that is what we're going to choose. I'm going to over adjust the ball guideline big time. I'm going to over adjust it 3 squares to the right of the pin, and the reason for that is that I do want to go with a 1-on-1 adjustment. So 3 squares on the right with a 1-on-1 adjustment is going to give us 9.1 rings. So we do get it there, and then we do go with 9.1, and then we're going to hit our shot perfect, hopefully. And as you can see here, we're coming in very much here to the left, but also the bounce here is going to kick us. And we're going to roll, and we're going to roll, and we're going to come in a bit short here, which we do not want to do. But we did have 3 squares over adjustment to the right for the impact of the bounce. And then we did make it 1-on-1 adjustment. So 1 mile per hour means 1 ring in terms of ring adjustment. So now we're going to end up with hole number 9, and after seeing hole number 9 before the tournament started, I felt like, wow, with headwind here, this is going to be a very tough eagle. Now it's still, we are actually going to be able to go for the albatross, and that is absolutely what we're going to do. So now we're going to play left side, and we're going to play aggressive. You can see here with 14 in wind, our opponent is playing with a basic ball and makes an absolute amazing drive. Even if it was very unlucky that the ball got into the rough and rolled out, but still an amazing drive with a basic ball. I'm not going to do like that. I'm going to play Titan here. And this drive, as you can see, you could play with a basic ball, and you can play with a less upgraded drive. So you don't have to play with an Apocalypse. You can play with an X-Mile down to level 4, level 5, and still reach over. Have in mind that when you're playing overpower here, is that you do danger going into the bunker on the right or the rough on the left. But from that position, we're still being able to reach for the green. So 10.4 is going to give me around 7 rings, which is the adjustment I'm going to choose. You can see here I'm not using I'm not using any type of overpower, just letting the ball traveling in the wind, max topspin and max side spin to the right. The max side spin to the right is to counter for an possible great ball to the left, or maybe so I stay away from the rough and the bunker there. Now from this position, I'm actually not going to play with a big dog or a cataclysm, as was suggested before the tournament started, because we didn't know what type of win we're going to get. Because now I'm going to play with a sniper. And now we can play this approach two ways. I'm only going to show you one way. The other way I'm going to show on a stream if I do get healthy soon enough. Then we're actually going to go for the rough bump. And if you have been playing these holes in expert and continuously searching for advice, then you most likely would have seen the rough bump approach. And now we're going to play on the side, max side spin, 4 bars of backspin. We're lining up so the ball guide line points us towards the pin. And then we do adjust here for being in between min and mid numbers, in between minimum and medium numbers. And I can't stress that enough. If you do feel uncomfortable with those terms like minimum, medium, max adjustment, what does that really mean? Check out the win guide, learn how to adjust for the rings here on the channel, and you will get it. Maybe not on the first time you watch it, but that guide is to help you at least get a good start. Get a bounce, getting it very close to an albatross, and this is definitely going to be an approach that is going to gain albatrosses. Also something that, again, going to put the scores in this tournament in a very low way. So I do believe here in expert we're going to see scores around minus 30, 31, 32 if you're going to win. I think as well that some brackets could be won with a minus 28, minus 29 with a really good tiebreaker. But you can see those low scores is almost a bit, not ridiculous, but I have a problem when it's going to be who is going to get like that little extra luck the most. But it's going to be challenging, it's going to be interesting, so please let me know in the comment section if you do have any questions or suggestions for how to improve these playthroughs in a better way. Also, what did you get in your round? I know we are a bit late, or I'm a bit late with the playthrough, but I haven't been feeling that well, and I'm still not 100% at all. So thanks a lot for watching. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Ghostly Glades tournament.